Hi. This lesson is going to begin with a look at the word rapture, and then I'm going to go into Revelation 10. Rapture is a word that's used a lot in end times discussions and teachings. It's particularly significant when we talk about the tribulation. Typically, we might start with, say, 1 Thessalonians 4:17, which uses the Greek word harpazo, which literally means to snatch away or to seize. It's a French word that originally meant like kidnapping, abducting, something along those lines. So to seize, to snatch away. Most modern translations use the phrase "caught up." In fact, all of the English translations for 100 years before the King James all used "caught up." That same Greek word is used 3 other times in the Bible. Acts 8:39, the Apostle Philip was teaching the Ethiopian, and he baptized him, and the Bible says he was caught up, disappeared. And in 2 Corinthians 12:2-4, Paul talks about knowing a man who was caught up to heaven. In Revelation 12:5 says, when we haven't gotten there yet, that's next week, but a woman gives birth to a son who is caught up to heaven, snatched up to God. Rapture is, a significant part of the end times teachings, but to be very blunt, that word never really appears in the Bible. Not that specific word that the Bible uses, caught up. And by the way, the word tribulation, it only appears once in the Bible. It would be better translated as affliction, which that's what the tribulation will be, a major affliction. So for many centuries, Christians typically accepted a less futuristic view of the tribulation and rapture. Most Christians, until 1500s, most Christians did not believe in a literal 1,000-year reign, the millennial kingdom after the tribulation. They believed this millennial kingdom was a spiritual, symbolic, so current during their lifetime kingdom. And their view became one of a very long spiritual kingdom during which the world would keep getting better and better. And they looked at Rome's conquest of Jerusalem in 73 AD as the beginning of the tribulation period. For the world getting better and better, how's that working out for you? Huh? Actually, in 70 AD. But anyway, so we could get into discussions about amillennial, postmillennial, and premillennial. I talked about that a little bit in the introduction to this series. We're going to leave it alone for now. But, the word rapture also came to be used in a spiritual sense in the 1500s as spiritual ecstasy, a state of mental transport. And that's kind of keeping with what the Bible says, like in 1 Thessalonians 4:17. And this viewpoint really gained popularity in the 1800s, late 1800s in particular, when the Schofield Reference Bible was published in 1909. A fantastic study Bible. King James Bible, I understand, but the study notes are fantastic. And its notes supported this viewpoint. It was the first major study Bible that did that. So it added a great deal of interest to this modern viewpoint. Some of the works that teach what most modern Christians currently believe include, and I'm just going to go from oldest to newest, 1878, William Blackstone, famous preacher, wrote a book called Jesus is Coming. An outstanding book. If you want to study end times, it's a good place to start. And it's not a difficult read, frankly. 1957, a Dutchman, John Walvoord, wrote a book called The Rapture Question, and then next year, 1958, Dwight Pentecost, a very famous American evangelist preacher, wrote a book titled Things to Come, a study of biblical eschatology. And then in 1970, Hal Lindsey wrote The Late Great Planet Earth, a fantastic book. He gets criticized because he made certain predictions that did not occur as he had predicted. But the concepts that he wrote about are very good. It's an easy read, very good book to read. In 1972, the best movie until the Left Behind series started getting made into movies. There was a movie in 1972 that was based on 1 Thessalonians 5:2. It's called A Thief in the Night. And then, of course, as I just mentioned, the Left Behind series by Tim LaHaye. First book was published in 1995. And a fantastic series. A lot of books, a lot of pages, but worth the read. It's very entertaining, if nothing else. But all of these are based on the word rapture, every one of them. So we have an entire theology, philosophy that's been developed, even though it's not actually found in the Bible. So be careful when deciding what you believe. Let the Bible be your guide. It's not a good thing if we believe something that's not in the Bible. That's dangerous. Doesn't mean we're wrong, but very dangerous. If you are going to want to look at the rapture, Matthew 24, the whole chapter is about what we're talking about in Revelation. Matthew 26, towards the end of the chapter. Luke 17, towards the end of the chapter. John 14, at the beginning. Jesus said, I will go away and when I prepare a place for you, and then I will come back for you. That's the rapture. Acts 1, 9 through 11, Jesus was talking to his disciples, and then he ascended to heaven. Two angels appeared and said to the disciples, he will come back the same way he just left, in the clouds. 1 Thessalonians 4, 16 and 17, 1 Thessalonians 5, 2, 2 Peter 3, 1 through 10, Revelation 1, 7, Revelation 6, Revelation 19, Revelation 22. I'll talk about the rapture in a sense. And there's probably more throughout our study in Revelation, but and you might find some other verses, and that's okay. You can add those to the list. There are 4 points that are generally agreed upon by all evangelical Christians, and we don't spend our time trying to prove these simple statements, and I'm not going to do that. We know there's an eternal kingdom. We refer to it as heaven. We know that when we're in heaven, we'll have transformed bodies, meaning things are going to be different. We know that Jesus will return to earth one day. The Bible states that many times. Meaning, but when and where that's going to happen, when is Jesus going to come back? Where is he going to? We don't know. We know the Bible says no man knows when Jesus is coming back. Jesus himself said only the Father knows, and other writers in the Bible said that. So let's look at what so many believe regarding the rapture, including myself for the most part. The word rapture, used in end times theology and the tribulation, means taking Christians out of this world and transporting them to heaven. So Matthew 24:27 says, when he comes back, the lightning will flash across the sky. Our view of rapture comes from these little snippets out of the Bible, and we need to not take them out of context and then build a whole theology on that. So 1 Corinthians 15 says, Paul writes that here's a mystery. We will not die, but we will all be changed as fast as the twinkling of an eye. This will happen when the last trumpet is sounded. When that happens, believers who have died will be raised from the dead, and they will be given eternal bodies. Then we will be changed. Worldly bodies must become eternal heavenly bodies. In John 14, Jesus said he'd prepare a place for us and come back for us. Remember, the Bible uses symbolism to give humans a better understanding of spiritual happenings. The question becomes this: what is the Bible trying to teach us? In regarding this lesson, is the Bible trying to teach us the exact manner in which things will happen, or just give us a general concept? And I'm sure you can figure out which, I believe. In studying the book of Revelation, we see a great deal of symbolism. And much of that we interpret as simple symbolism. Yet for other portions of Revelation, we take everything so literal. That inconsistency sometimes bothers me, but it's not necessarily wrong. What we don't know is exactly how all of this will transpire, nor when. Most evangelicals today, but certainly not all, believe in a pre-tribulation rapture. That means tribulation is 7 years, and before that starts, Jesus will return and take all of his followers out of this world. However, some believe that rapture occurs somewhere after the tribulation begins. Early tribulation, 6 months, a year and a half. Others, we call them early trib, or then there's mid-trib, meaning, after 3.5 years out of the 7. A few even believe in a post-tribulation rapture, that Jesus doesn't take anyone out of this world until after the tribulation. There aren't a lot that do think that way, but some do. Here's the thing: the greatest scholars of our day do not all agree on this topic. And in fact, one very well-known TV evangelist disagreed with the Left Behind series viewpoint. Who knows? Maybe he's right. As I've often said, though, I tend to agree with the overall concept put forth by the Left Behind series. No. However, I have a firm belief that God will do what God will do. And he has an amazing ability to surprise his people. That's why I like one preacher who said, I'm a pan-trib. Pan is Greek for all. He said, I believe God will do it anytime, and I'll accept all of those choices. In the time of Jesus here on earth, the Jews were waiting for their coming Messiah. They studied their scriptures diligently, yet they missed his first coming. And we might hesitate before thinking we are so much smarter than they were. Perhaps we are smarter, but if we're smarter than them, compared to how much smarter God is, way up, the difference is insignificant. The Bible has only one book that is solely focused on end times. It's got a lot of books focused on the history of Judaism and Christianity, and it's got 21 books. So if you didn't catch that, there's 44 books that are all about history, the Old Testament and the Gospels, and there are 21 books about how to live a Christian life today. And I think the history and the living for today, those are the books we should be studying the most. So, with that said, let's go into and look at Revelation chapter 10. And we're in the midst of sixth angel, the sixth trumpet, the third woe, well, the second woe. Anyway, in Revelation 10 it says, another angel, another scroll. Another mighty angel came from heaven. He was wearing a cloud as his robe and had a rainbow on his head. His face shined like the sun. His legs were like pillars of fire. He was holding a small scroll in his right hand, and it was open. He stood with his right foot on the sea and his left foot on the land. He shouted loudly like a lion roaring. When he shouted, 7 thunders spoke, and when they spoke, I was going to write down what they said, but a voice from heaven said, do not write down what the 7 thunders said. Seal those words up. In my opinion, we're given a better description of that angel than any other angel in the Bible, in my opinion. But he's called mighty. And the only other angel called mighty is actually when the angel announces the 7 seals on the scroll. Think about the description of this angel, wearing a robe of clouds and rainbow over his head, and his face shining like the sun, and legs like pillars of fire. I mean, intimidating. And sometimes Christians like, he was wearing a rainbow. Does that remind you of Noah? It does me. And, God promised he'd never destroy mankind by a flood again. Sometimes Christians throw out the humorous joke, well, God didn't say when to destroy mankind in another way, and indeed, as we read ahead, God will destroy this earth and bring a new earth. But he's not going to destroy mankind again, and the remnant this time will be much larger than the 8 from Noah's day. So we're talking about symbolism. Some say this angel is a symbol of Jesus himself, but while he may symbolize Jesus, it seems highly unlikely that John would not identify Jesus clearly. He does that everywhere in the book of Revelation. The Lamb of God, the Son of Man. He identifies Jesus very specially. And this angel, though, was holding a small scroll in his right hand. It was open. What about this little scroll? It's the same word as scroll as in Revelation 5, but John uses a slightly different word here to say little scroll. Maybe it means the little scroll meaning less remaining to reveal. As you read a scroll, you twist it up and you get this little bit left. Or then maybe it just means instead of a big scroll, it was a little scroll. I don't know. But we're going to learn more about this little scroll shortly. So, this angel stood with his right foot on the sea and his left foot on the land. Doesn't that give the impression that this angel was like everywhere? On land and sea? His presence would influence everyone and everything, everywhere. Do you think his foot was planted on the sea? This is just my sense of humor. Was his foot planted on the sea like Jesus planted his foot when he walked on water? And he shouted like a roaring lion. And the voice of the 7 thunders. It seems to indicate everyone would hear him. You know what I'm saying? So just as John's about to write all of this down, a voice from heaven, well, he was going to write down what the thunders said, but a voice from heaven said, do not write down what the 7 thunders just said. Seal up their words. Wow. Don't you want to know what John heard? Of course you do. I mean, if you're a serious student of the Bible, otherwise you can just skip over that. What would it be like to be getting a vision from God, and then all of a sudden he says, yeah, but don't tell that part? Did he do that just so that it would help John know what else he could write? It's an idea. I don't have an explanation, people. A lot of questions in Revelation I can't answer. and I've studied it quite detailed. So this angel standing on the sea and on the land raised his right hand to heaven, and he bowed to God who lives forever and ever, the one who created the heavens and the earth and everything in them. The angel said, "There will be no more delays." When the seventh angel is about to sound his trumpet, those will be the days when God's mystery will be finished, just as he told his prophets. No more delay. That sounds so terrifying, so final. This is what announces the upcoming seventh trumpet. But first, John's told to take the little scroll from the angel. How do you think John felt when he was he was told, go take the scroll from the... Think about that angel. You know, face and pillar of fire and intimidating. I don't think John walked up and, gimme. I think he went, looking around. Anyone else gonna say something? Somebody wanna do this? Help me, or could I have that scroll? I don't know. What do you think it would have been? What he would have felt like? But John writes this in verse 9 through 11. He says, "I went to the angel and asked him to give me the scroll. He told me, 'Take it and eat it. It will make your stomach turn sour, but it will taste as sweet as honey.' So I took the scroll and ate it, and it tasted as sweet as honey, but it turned my stomach sour. And I was told, 'You must prophesy again about many peoples and languages and nations and kings.'" Sweet and sour, yeah. Not like Chinese chicken, no. I was teaching this one time, and my daughter, when I asked what would be sweet and sour in this sense, and my daughter said, antifreeze. Yeah, I found out that's actually true. No, I didn't try it, don't you? Not good for you. But I read about it when she said that. So that's my illustration, sweet and sour. What does it symbolize? Well, there are many things in life that seem appealing at the moment. But after doing whatever, you begin thinking, why did I ever even think about trying to do that? Go ahead and take some time to read from the book of Revelation. I'd recommend the NIV or New Living and the Message Bible. Read it from two of those. The Message Bible for sure, because it makes it so easy to understand in some respects. It's a little bit liberal for me, but it's good. And then the NIV or New Living Translation, maybe the New King James. If you have a favorite translation, read the book of Revelation from more than one. And for next week, at least read chapters 11 and 12 at a minimum. All right? Hopefully you go back and read chapter 10 for tonight. God bless you. Have a wonderful week. Bye now.